This is DJI Osmo Action 4, and it's probably the single biggest upgrade us FPV drone pilots have had in terms of getting cinematic video. You can quick charge it from 0 to 80% in just 18 minutes. You can change any of the settings you want on the front touchscreen whenever it's pressed up against the battery on your quad. You can even get the slightest more flight time from your smaller quads, with it being 9 grams less in weight when compared to a Hero 12. And it even has a decently larger sensor, which should, in theory, help it perform better in low light situations, such as sunrises, which, yeah, thankfully we're going to test it out later in this video. And look, these are just a few of the reasons that I think make it so you should never buy another GoPro for FPV ever again. So let's get on to the rest. Now, I've been a sole GoPro user for the longest time, and I've honestly never had the want or the will to change from being that. Well, that was up until a few weeks ago when this GoPro right here, my GoPro Hero 10, continually kept corrupting my files no matter the battery or SD card I tried using. A few days later, while I was filming floating down a river on a mattress.
We're on a fucking mattress in the middle of fucking nowhere, boy.
Actual. That's a long story. No need to go into that just yet. The GoPro wouldn't actually record any more than about, I don't know, 15-20 seconds worth of footage before completely shutting off and coming up with a repairing file thing on the screen every time.
The rapids are coming, I can see them!
It did soon end itself after that and decided to never turn on again, which is now the exact state that it's in right now. 100% dead. But this did spark a flare inside of me that kind of helped highlight my biggest overlooked issue with GoPros throughout my years of using them. What's that issue, you might be thinking? Reliability and responsiveness. Look, if you've ever used a GoPro, you're gonna know that they feel slow, a little bit sluggish, and somehow 12 generations into their existence still crash and become unresponsive way too often. So for some reason, my useless ass GoPro Hero 10 decided not to record any of that. No matter what GoPro I've owned, it has always, and I mean always, had some form of reliability issue. We've had to open the door here, which is now pretty banged up from being opened up, and pull the battery out to reset the camera. So look, I am no stranger to GoPro. I have been through a Hero 4 session way back in the days, 2 Hero 7s, and now 3 Hero 10s, all of which I have experienced similar issues with. So it's not just I've had a faulty camera here, I've had a faulty camera there. It's GoPro. It is just GoPro. Now, I can't say that I have personally tested the Action 4 heavily in this regard, as I honestly just haven't owned it for long enough to be able to say that, but I can say that over the past week of use, I've had 0 issues with reliability, crashing, or corrupted files, so that at least goes for something, and based on my experience of other DJI products, I don't see it becoming an issue in the future. Another improvement that I've noticed that has been a really positive change for me is the quick switch and custom modes, and it just honestly works the exact same as something like a mirrorless camera would with their custom modes. By simply pressing the power button, you start to cycle through modes, which can be photo, video, time-lapse, and those other normal modes, slow motion, you know. Or you can do what I've done and add custom modes into the mix as well. This is where I really start to love the user experience that this camera actually offers. If you're planning on using this camera for any form of FPV, you're gonna wanna set it up in a manual video mode so you can lock the exposure, shoot in a log profile, and get amazing looking footage. So I did exactly that, set the mode up and then saved it as a custom preset. However, because I also happen to do random shit sometimes, I also just want to have the option to be able to, you know, use this camera as an action camera. So instead of having to go in, change all the settings every single time that I want to do that, I simply set up another custom mode with auto exposure and stabilization on. Now, I get it. This isn't new if you're coming from a recent GoPro, but what I love more on the Action 4, damn that rhymed, is just the access to these modes with the quick switch button. You legit power the camera up, then cycle to whatever mode you want to film in, taking less than 3 seconds. You get to really quickly see which mode is which, as it tells you the most important settings that you have for each preset, like the resolution, the frame rate, the aspect ratio, stabilization, color profile, and color temperature. Like, it doesn't miss out on anything, so you actually know the exact mode that you're shooting it. It's fantastic. Why don't more companies do this? Like, when you compare it to this thing, the GoPro, you have to power it on, tap the bubble at the bottom of the screen, and then, and only then, find the preset which you actually want, which is more annoying than you think, as it only displays the resolution, aspect ratio, frame rate, and lens mode. So you have no idea if, you know, you have stabilization on because you don't want to be having hypersmooth on when you just want to be shooting FPV. You have no idea if you're in like the natural color profile or anything. So yeah, you have to go into each of those individual settings to actually find out whether you have that stabilization on or not, and if you've set your white balance for your FPV shot. It's the small things that really add up that make this feel like a big upgrade. Now, I also mentioned something super important there, which is going to be put to the test when we take this camera out to a sunrise a little bit later in this video, but this super important thing is called D-Log-M. Now, if you have no idea what that is, stress not. It is simply a flat color profile that is used on your video files that allows you to keep the most information retained within the shot. That information is your dynamic range, that's the amount of bright and dark parts the camera can actually capture at once, and the colors it can process as well. For the most part, you're definitely going to want to color grade it before posting it out anywhere, but it does provide a lot of benefits in the realm of post-processing, which obviously for me and for most FPV pilots, that's a massive plus. For instance, 10-bit color, which actually happens to be an upgrade from my 8-bit color, Hero 10. 8-bit color means the camera is capturing close to 17 million different colors, which could sound like a lot. However, 10-bit means the camera is now capturing upwards of 1 billion different colors. Yes, 1 billion. It's a pretty significant leap there. Again, the benefits of this will mostly be seen while editing and can help you push your color grades a whole lot further without the image falling apart. But what I really like about D-Log-M is the fact that I actually use it almost every single day with my DJI Air 3. So I've got some pretty damn good experience with grading it. And speaking from experience here, it's a super clean log profile, gives me loads of different options for style, and lets me push it as far as I actually need. I haven't run into any issues with it breaking apart or anything. For some reason, I've actually always struggled grading GoPro's flat color profile, so generally I just ended up using the natural color profile, which, you know, it's probably not the best thing looking back on it now, but hey, moving forward, I am stoked to have a log profile that I actually understand. It's super easy to grade, and it's actually easy to learn how to grade, and of course produces amazing results with the Action 4. Speaking of amazing results, I'm sure by now you've probably seen some pretty epic FPV flights on YouTube Shorts, right? I mean, they're most likely not mine. I'm not that much of a Shorts poster. I really should, but I can say for sure that I have personally seen them myself. And if there's one thing that I always notice quality-wise between my vertical videos and pretty much anybody else out there, is that they're way wider than mine, and they simply look a whole lot better too. What's funny here though, is I do know why. It's because on my drone, I always had the GoPro mounted using the bottom thumb screw, these little guys down here, I got no finger now, there we go. These little things, which meant that it was always mounted horizontally. In post, I'd just zoom in to fill the vertical space and then call it a day. Sometimes it worked, other times, not so much. Now, on the new GoPros, they do have a taller sensor, which kind of allows you to shoot both horizontal and vertical video at the exact same time. There are a few things about it, though, that don't make it quite as good as actually mounting your GoPro vertically, like the fact that it's still not as wide and it's also a little bit lesser in quality. So, what's the point here if you can just mount your GoPro vertically and call it a day? This may sound lazy, but for me, I have never bought a specific vertical mounting bracket for my drones, and for the most part, I'm always going to be rathering to shoot horizontally because I make YouTube videos. The thought of actually having to swap out the mounts on my drone whenever I wanted to switch didn't really seem too appealing to me. I mean, it's only 4 screws, but 4 screws every single time, god damn, that's going to get painful. So, cue the Action 4, and this is the cage that it comes with, in the box. Yeah, that's right, it comes with the cage in the box, which, believe it or not, once you put the Action 4 inside, clamp it down, look at this. Vertical mounting, like that. It uses this magnetic mounting system, which honestly, I was skeptical of at first, but it does allow you so that you can switch the camera from horizontally mounted to vertically mounted with, I did that exactly the opposite. You get the point, horizontally mounted to vertically mounted with ease. It just saves the hassle of actually having to swap the mounts like you do on the GoPro, and then also provides the benefits of, you know, being able to shoot a perfectly wide video. There we go. Perfectly wide video, vertical. Now, I know you just saw me fumble with it a few times, but I'll be honest here, I didn't actually expect to like this magnetic mounting system at all. But after a bit of use, even though I'm still getting used to it, I have come to understand that it's really just hard to understand how good it actually is until you physically have it in your hands. Like, I never really saw GoPro's mounting system as a pain, but now after using this, I seriously would struggle to go back. It's just like snap on, snap off. Super nice. That brings us to the sensor itself, which just so happens to be one of the biggest sensors in an action camera aside from Insta360's Leica camera mod thingy. But yeah, it does mean that it's actually got a bigger sensor than any of the other GoPros on the market right now. And yep, it does also mean that I'm going to have to put it to the test to see if it actually produces anything meaningful and we're not just throwing numbers out there. So yeah, I'm going to go do that now, like right now. So the reason they're having a bigger sensor is actually pretty damn important is due to the fact that light is exactly what a camera captures, and the bigger that surface area is, the bigger that sensor is to be able to capture that incoming light. That's when we're going to ideally notice way better performance in the image, in the lower light situations, in the shadows. There should be less noise. We should be able to retain more information in that lower light area, and I have seen multiple videos of this thing absolutely on GoPros in low light, so I'm pretty excited. But the sun is actually just coming out onto my face as we speak, so we better damn well get this thing in the air, flying, and get some dope ass shots, boy! Yeah, I don't know why I did that, but we're gonna do some shots. No, we're not. God damn it!
Get on your knees. Came from the jungle, up in the trees. I got a few tricks up in the sleeve. One wrong move, I'ma let out the big shoes, check out the crease. Blow like I'm Bigfoot, step on the beat. Make a man's run till he step out the cleats. When the whole place scream, gotta get out the
It's probably worth noting that the Action 4 does indeed add gyro data into the video files if you're filming in any of these modes, which does allow you to then use gyro flow in post and get those perfectly smooth, cinematic, crispy shots that you always dream of getting. Speaking of which, if you're in need of a cinematic FPV beast, you might want to look at getting your hands on this drone from this video.
On my way. I'ma have you on tiptoes, watching my diamond afterglow. I know you wanna